Hey, this is Hale Bishop at Moultrie First United Methodist Church. Just to give you a little sermon preview for this week, we're going to be looking at 1 Kings chapter 19, and this is the story of Elijah when he goes off into the wilderness and he's afraid and he runs from his life because Jezebel, Ahab's wife, threatens him. When he gets out there in the desert and he falls asleep and he's awakened by an angel who gives him or has prepared for him a loaf of bread or cake. Now, I love God because, it's great when He prepares a cake for you. That's great comfort food. And we'll talk a little bit about comfort food this week, and we'll talk about how God met Elijah's need in the wilderness, not only with food, but how He met Elijah's need with the presence of the Lord in his life. And how sometimes if we read this scripture and we look at it, sometimes we think everything's going bad and we're like Elijah. We want to quit, we want to give up, and we just want to die. And God comes to Elijah and He meets his need for food, and he comforts him in that place. But then He tells him the most amazing thing. He says, go back the way that you came. And sometimes we need to realize that God's going to meet us through His presence in the circumstances that we're in, not by removing us from the circumstances or the circumstances for us. And also, I think we ought to remember, and we ought to see this week, that God speaks to Elijah in this passage, not in the mighty earthquake, not in the thunderstorm, not in a great wind, but God speaks to Elijah in a still small voice. I wonder sometimes in the world in which we are, do we really get quiet enough to hear God's voice? Are we quiet enough to hear the still small whisper of God in our ear? I hope that this week you'll look over 1 Kings chapter 19 and that you'll think about that. And in the coming week, you'll stop and ask yourself, have you taken that time for solitude and let God seek you? This is Hale Bishop at Moultrie First United Methodist Church, and this is the sermon for June the 24th, 2007. God bless you and have a great week.